Greetings all. Welcome to Aquarian Diary. I'm your host, John Irving. It is July 11th, 2024. I've been wanting to record numerous things lately, but there's quite an interesting phenomenon that's been occurring repeatedly now for quite some time. And what I'm putting forward here right now is going to be more of a stream of consciousness kind of thing. The more I have reflected on this, the deeper it goes, and it's kind of like a bit of a rabbit hole, and I could go in so many different directions. So hopefully what comes through is adequate or sufficient or interesting. And I share these things not necessarily with the expectation that other people haven't already thought about them or aren't already experiencing them. But many times people have commented that what I have expressed resonates with them, and sometimes it's helpful to know that other people are thinking or experiencing the same thing, or to just hear how someone else articulates it. So from that perspective, it's an act of service on my part to be able to do this for you, hopefully anyway. In the past, I would get ideas for topics for this channel, and I have a very long list of topics that interested me or that were kind of up for me. And it used to be that I could put a topic on my list and it would still resonate, sometimes even for months, and then it became more like a week, and now it's kind of like a day. So I keep putting things on my to-do list for topics, and they'll be really interesting to me. And then I'll wake up the next day and go I'm not really into that right now anymore. So things are moving extremely quickly relative to, I would say, even 6 months ago. So that right there is probably telling about this energy that we're in now. Things are shifting incredibly quickly. The flow of energy is very, very fast and very constant. It's kind of like we went from a meandering river to a raging stream. Now, I may be in a slightly enviable position because I can actually kind of do that. Somebody who has a 9-to-5 job might just have to get up and repeat their patterns of behavior because they don't have a choice. I understand that, and don't take it the wrong way if what I'm expressing doesn't match with your reality. But it might match with what you think or feel. And this whole topic, like I said, is quite deep, and it connects to some of my more recent episodes, in particular the one titled The Myth of Consensus Reality, as well as episodes that I published a long time ago talking about the age of Aquarius and Pluto transiting Aquarius. Some of those go back 2 years. So the main notion that I wanted to kind of put forward here today is the idea of natural versus transactional reality. Let's dissect that a bit. What is transactional reality? Transactional reality, or at least what I'm referring to, is this reality that we exist within where I do something of value or benefit to you or to society, and I get something in return. There's a transaction. That could be you having a job and getting paid a salary, or you producing a product or good and selling it and getting paid for it. It's always transactional, right? And that's how our reality is structured. It's extremely transactional. If you are not contributing in a way that society places value or benefit on, you don't get rewarded. You'll end up living on the street or dying of hunger, right? Or whatever. So that's just the way it is, or that's just the way it has been. And then another aspect of that is that people who contribute greater perceived value get greater rewards, or people who know how to be more transactional get rewarded more. It's really understanding and diving into and embracing this whole notion of a transactional reality. So at the top might be say, Amazon. Extremely transactional, hundreds of millions of customers buying, goods constantly, and there's many, many, many transactions. As a corporation, they make a lot of money, and they're very profitable. Or think of banks, or people who make money from the stock market. It's purely transactions. Whereas, say, a nurse has a job and gets paid a salary, which is relatively trivial in comparison, even though a nurse might literally be saving people's lives every day. So, on a certain level, this system isn't really fair. And I could go on and on and on about that. Some might argue that, well, some people are just smarter than others. Say, like Warren Buffett, he understands how to work in that paradigm very, very well. It comes very naturally to him. And that's the way it is. However, one of the prices to this paradigm is that people have to surrender their authenticity to this paradigm in order to survive. So we're constantly compromising ourselves in order to fit into that reality. Many people have jobs or perform duties or functions or careers that they don't really love and that they don't really like even, and that aren't pleasant to them simply because they have no choice. For example, people can go and spend a tremendous amount of money and energy to get a degree so that they can obtain financial security and survive. And then their own personal desires or pleasures are secondary to that. If they have enough money, if they have enough time, if they're comfortable enough, they can pursue their own interests and so forth. So our actual desires, the truth about us and our own unique expression of authenticity is secondary to this paradigm. We surrender to it because we feel we don't have a choice. So this doesn't actually represent true freedom and true authenticity. It's kind of like things are inverted compared to how they should be. From a divine perspective, every being that is incarnate here is of equal value and equal importance, but that is not reflected in society and in our economic system. And again, the people who benefit from this transactional reality are not necessarily the best people or the best examples of human nature or human being. They're just the ones who know how to work with or manipulate this paradigm better than others. That doesn't mean they're more important. So there's a tremendous amount of disparity that is not based on truth or authenticity. The Creator made each of us to be a divine, unique expression of something very important, and that is the experience that we will have during our lifetime, during our incarnation. And not only that, but how we affect others, how we affect our environment, the role we play in other people's evolution and lives is extremely important. So from a divine perspective, it's a completely level playing field. But again, that isn't matched in three-dimensional reality. What I want to posit or put forward here is that as we move more into the age of Aquarius, the need for people to be authentic, to be an accurate reflection of their true inner selves, is going to become increasingly important. And that has very, very significant implications for society, for reality, and for our collective paradigm. People will be less willing to sacrifice being who they truly are just to fit into an economic system that, in many ways, is defunct and dysfunctional, and that is not an accurate representation of higher truth. As the energies here on Earth continue to increase, it will become increasingly difficult and challenging and undesirable for people to constrain their unique, authentic self-expression. In fact, the path of spirituality, the path to enlightenment, is to be one with our higher self and the expression of that, and we will become increasingly resistant to having to conform to arbitrary and defunct structures, thought forms, and paradigms that do not facilitate that or that block the flow of that energy, of that authenticity. And also, let's be clear, this expression of authenticity is not a rational abstraction. It is not a philosophy. It is not an ideology. It is being in the flow of our true energy our true way of being, and our true nature. And that flow is the opposite of control. It is, in fact, release. It is, in fact, a surrender, in a sense, where we let go of all of these false beliefs and preconceptions and allow us to just be ourselves. And of course, we need to allow others to do the same thing too. This is going to become increasingly important. And as I talked about in that episode, The Myth of Consensus Reality, each one of us is a very unique expression of divine will and energy. And what I'm describing here is simply another way of looking at that concept and how it actually materializes in three-dimensional reality. I believe that it is safe to say that one of the reasons we are seeing all of the structures and institutions of our society that have been around throughout the age of Pisces starting to collapse is for this very reason. It may not be evident to the broad public yet, it almost certainly isn't, but the fundamental driving force behind all of this change and evolution that is rocking our world and breaking down these arbitrarily constructed systems, many of them which were patriarchal, very orderly and top-down, is because more and more people are moving into this flow energy and feeling this need, even if they're not consciously aware of it, to just express themselves very authentically. And of course, that can be quite confusing because many people may not even know who they are if they were to be truly authentic and natural. It will take some time for that to kind of sink in on a personal level and most definitely on a collective level. As I have said before, it's like the genie has been let out of the bottle and you can't really put it back. And all of those institutions and ways of being simply will not be able to contain this energy or to control it, no matter what they do. So fundamentally, this is much more about being in the flow of authenticity and just allowing that to happen even when you don't understand it or you don't know where it's going to take you from one day to the next. We cannot be in resistance to these kinds of energies. I hope that makes sense. I think this is really important. In fact, if I am struggling to convey this rationally, that actually kind of makes my point because this is not purely rational. This isn't coming from the mind. It's more from the heart. It's more the need to express our true inner selves, not through our head, but just through our being, very naturally and authentically. For more detail, check the episode description for other episodes or articles that are related or that I mentioned. And if you're interested in a reading with me, I'll put a link to that as well. I have a 15% off special on currently. Many sincere thanks to everyone who supports me, especially my YouTube members. Thank you very much. Take care, all the best, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.